Hi everybody and welcome to another dev video. Now I've tried to record this like 12 times and ended up failing horribly the last day and a half pretty much since I tried this morning as well. The problem issue was that the mic I was using flatlined. So for those who don't know, here literally not even a couple weeks ago, so I bought a new Snowball Ice mic on the 22nd of August and I started using it. Really good mic. It actually was working amazingly. The clarity was pretty good. But it started having problems. And this is not to say the product itself is bad, as mine probably was just effective, but I went ahead and refunded it anyways because I didn't want to deal with it. But what it would do is it would slowly have static build up, and when you would hear really high promoted on like the higher frequencies and everything, so the quality started dropping and it started getting worse and worse, and then eventually it started having things like power failures and disconnecting with the computer. And this is what caused all the issues the last couple of days with me not only trying to stream but trying to record. I had to scrap a lot of videos as we get these really good moments where I was talking and I was explaining all the features and functionality and why we were doing this, why we were doing that. And then the mic would cut off and I would not get any kind of notification that it was cutting off. It simply would just stop working. And the only way to get it to start working again is I would have to unplug the microphone, leave it unplugged, plug it back in, then reset the software that was recording it so that way it would detect the microphone. And even then, sometimes it wouldn't work. So yeah, it got ditched. Anyways, that's not the point of this video because I fixed my newer 700, which was an older mic I bought last year that got damaged when I was moving. Actually, I think I bought it even longer than a year ago, but when I moved, it got damaged. Well, it turned out it was a wire broken in that. I fixed the wire. I got to admit, this newer NW700 is actually really well built. The internals are really nice. Nice solid metal. I can't tell if it's steel or aluminum casing, but it's really good. The quality's nice. I had this yesterday. I was doing a stream and this microphone flipped upside down. Even with it flipped upside down, the sound quality still maintained rather decently well. And of course, this thing's got a nice little filter over it, and it's got a pop filter on it, so it should sound good. Even though I still have to do some practice on how I talk, because I notice I promote the S's a little bit too much when I speak. Anyways, now that we've wasted 2 minutes talking about microphones, which didn't really matter, we're going to work on VoltSensor today. I know I did a video where I was doing the design for a new power generator. We'll get to that. We'll get to implementing that. But what I noticed yesterday, while I was digging around for gem textures to start working on the gems and finishing them off, we have a ton of new textures that Morton made. And Morton made these textures back in February, March, and April. And they're really good. He's actually still working on them too. I thought he noped off and disappeared and went back to his job and was done doing textures for us. No, he's still doing textures. It's just there's like no communication between me and him, and the only notification I ever get is if I open up Google Drive, which is now called Backup and Sync, and I go into my work stuff, which by the way, you like my new icons here? I spent some time working on these. I really recommend, if you guys do a lot of work, it's really useful to change your folder icons, although I need to change the notepad one to look like a folder. Anyways, we go in here. So the only notification I ever get that he does any kind of work is if I go in the request drive and I just look in here and I look for textures, or I pop open onto the actual website and I go into MC and we open this up and we dig down into the request folder. This is the only other time I actually get a notification that he ever does anything, is if I look down the history, which by the way, I normally don't have this tab open. I opened this up just to check to see when he made these textures. I can see, yeah, he's been working on Tuesday, and I can sit here and see what exactly he was doing at all times. And this is a horrible notification system. It's the reason why actually on my to-do list I have an asset upload system that's going to be implemented eventually that'll use Google Drive, and what it'll do is it'll be similar to like the GitHub issue tracker. Let me go open this up so I can show this. But what you would have is you would come over to the issues and you would go, and let's actually show all issues so you can see them. Yeah, wow, we don't have a lot of issues on this one. But the idea was you would have an issue, and the issue would go, hey, we need textures for this mod that are exactly like this, and he'd be able to go in and go, yeah, okay. And then he would make the textures, and he would upload them to that actual ticket. Then the ticket would upload those to Google Drive for us. So that way they're still in the Google Drive, we can still retrieve them, but then I can be notified when he uploads them, I can be notified when the ticket is closed, I can close the ticket to say they've been implemented, and we can do a lot of tracking to just so we know what's going on, and that's a good way to communicate. Right now we have no communication. I think he's literally just going through the design documents that we have and just pumping textures out when he has a chance to. Some of the textures, by the way, we can actually, let's not show them in the web page because you can't see them very well. But he went through and he reworked pretty much every sheet metal texture for me, which I'm really happy about. The sheet metal textures the old ones looked bad. And the reason I know they looked bad is I made most of the old textures. I took a couple sheet metal textures given to me by ZMaster, and I made a whole bunch of textures from them. And he looks like he went through and redid everything. He redid the screwdriver. I'm not going to use the screwdriver though, because I think I've even talked to him about it. It looks like a shank. It doesn't look like a screwdriver. I'm going to hold on to it though, because it might be usable later. Right now, the current screwdriver that's built into VoltsEngine is really meant to be like a Swiss Army knife multi-tool, and the animation is going to be updated to reflect that as you change the mode on the tool, so if you guys have noticed when you shift right click you change modes, it's going to change the visual of the tool as well, so it tells you what mode it's in. And the plan is I might re-add the screwdriver, an actual screwdriver here later, that has a very specific use, and then you can build the multi-tool out of having subtools. So then you can go from the subtool and you can have all kinds of subtools, or go from the subtools to the multi-tool, and the multi-tool will then take over all your functionality for you. And it will take over the support of wrench, screw, configurator, everything else. And the screwdriver would probably be used for configuration is what it would be used for. It will also be used in crafting recipes down the road. So there will be a workbench that you'll stick this in. Actually, in that regard, let's copy this real quick, and I'll go dump it in the folder. So let's go ahead and open this up. All of our textures are in source, main, resources, assets, VoltsEngine, textures, items. Let me make sure what it's called. It's actually called screwdriver. So here's the old one, which I'm actually going to cut this real quick, and let's open back up the request folder. And I'm going to go into textures. I'm going to go into, we have an old folder, and I'm going to dump it in here. So we keep the old guy, because I need to make sure I stop leaving old textures in here. So my brain somewhere along the line said, hey, keep all of the old textures and just leave them in here so people can get them. And I realized we have source control. Source control allows me pretty much to give you guys access to all of the old stuff. And what I really need to do is give you guys public access to this. So if any of you guys are making resource packs, you're making texture packs, you just want to do little customizations, or you just want to change things, or even want to work on, like, say, a website where you show off our mod and stuff, I need to give you guys access to this folder so you can dig through here and grab the actual assets and grab the, not just the assets, but you'll be able to come in here and you'll be able to grab whatever these files are, which are the GIMP files. I probably shouldn't click this because this probably is something different. It's actually probably where he was working on all the textures, if my GIMP doesn't crash on me. I've been having problems with it recently. I think I need to update it. It's got iron cutters. There's a couple, oh no, wait, that's the old folder. This is the new folder. No, that's the old folder. That's the new folder. I'm lost here. There's a lot of stuff in here, and if we can get it to roll without it freezing. Unfortunately, when you start opening too much applications on this computer, it starts to freeze. I am in the process of planning out to get a new one, although I can't afford a new computer at the moment, so I'm trying to figure out what to do. The main problem is I think there's a defect with my CPU on my computer, and this is the same problem my brother had, because me and my brother bought the same exact computers. We bought the same exact CPUs, we bought the same exact, like, pretty much everything for our computers, because $850 a computer, and that computer can keep up with an i7, why not? It's actually a good price. Especially when previously we would pay over $1,000 a new computer. That's not including the graphics card, $1,000. Graphics cards are expensive. But yeah, we got chips here. Oh yeah, here's all the different plates. And I think he was even thinking about making different colors. That would be really, really nice if we get that. And yeah, we can see where he's got it all broken out to a text sheet. There's a piece of software, by the way, that you can use for GIMP that you can make all of your textures like this. And then what you can do is turn around and export them all as well. And it looks like he just got, oh, he's got hidden stuff. Hiding all the stuff. He's got these colorized too. You gotta admit, he knows what he's doing. He's really good at what he does. Grayscale textures, overlays for the colors. That shows you just how good he is what he does. Is that if he knows that he can get away with this, and he can just add a little detail on top of these to make them look good, that makes it really easy for us to adapt and make new components. Although, to be honest, I think some of these down here, the screws, which is why he probably has a layer here, is that the screws don't look very good. I need more work. But yeah, Morton's pretty amazing at this stuff. Discard changes. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of upgrades cards. These are probably going to be used for a mix between... I'm probably going to leave them in VoltsEngine, and they're going to be in the VoltsEngine. But the main use of where the upgrade cards are going to come from is highly likely the Sentry Gun mod. Tools will be implemented as their own mod. I don't think he's done with the motors yet. Oh, we got insulation. Stepper motor. Ooh. He definitely is putting a lot of work in here. Really, really good work. We're going to be implementing a lot of this stuff down the road. I will make videos on how to implement armor. We're not going to implement the armor in the standard Minecraft way. The reason why we're not is if you start counting the number of armor sets we have, Minecraft, the default implementation assumes that you will have 1 item per armor piece. So if you have 4 pieces of armor per set, and say you wanted 100 sets, there's 400 items you now have to add to the game. And if you consider the fact that there's only 32,000 items total in Minecraft, that's a big chunk to take away that another mod can't use, especially if you want to start doing a lot more armor sets, and I want to do a ridiculous amount of armor sets. The alternative way is actually 2 different methodologies we can use in the future. A, you make a single piece of armor that does everything. So a single item does everything. That's the way I want to do it. I'm not sure we can get away with that. Or you can make 4 pieces, so helmet, chest, legs, and boots. And then those can then be any material you want. That one we can do. That one's not as hard. We will have a little bit more difficulty with things like damage, because you'll have to update that in a certain way. And there'll be a few other problems with that that we'll have to overcome as we get there. That's not what this video is going to be, though, because that's something I'm not going to do right now. I do have to do it here relatively soon, as I have a client who wants some armor done. And I'm going to go ahead and implement the system in Armory Mod and then do his armor via that system. That way I don't have to update his armor ever again. Once it's done, it's done. Yeah, so we got that stuff. So the goal to do today, if I don't smack my mic with my hand, is to implement the sheet metal textures. I'm going to be implementing the new ones, which is the sheet dot triangle, and then work on the gems. And we're going to hit the sheet metal first, and if the video time is too long, we'll cut it and then we'll come back in with a gem video here later. I also do have a time limit today because we want to do a live stream from the depths here somewhere around 5 till 7. Trying to get some kind of stream time in. So we got all our stuff here. We got the mod here. Here is the sheet metal class. I need to convert this to JSON, which I've already started. This is how you know I've redid this video quite a few times, is that in the middle of doing the video, microphone cut out and I had to restart over and over. Actually, I can even show that too. No, I already deleted them all. Okay, you can see a ton of videos in there though. I gotta go through each one of those and clip out segments that are good. So we want to scrap this system and we want to come over here to this one. So first thing first, let's get our subtypes done. That's like the blunt of the work if I can get this to separate. So actually we have to do it on this side of the screen. There we go. And that's the one window I want. So this way I can enter all the subtypes. And I need to actually open that back up and come down here. Okay, so I'm looking for the format real quick because I can never remember the format. I made this system, and this is an example of where just because somebody makes a system does not mean they remember it. So we need an ID. ID is mandatory. Name is optional. I know that much. OR is optional. This will be the OR dictionary name. This is what other mods will use. And then, of course, index is mandatory. Index actually here eventually will become not mandatory. The only reason why it's manually entered is I don't want to take the chance that when JSON reads in the tag, so reads in this as array, that it changes the order when it gets read in. That is an actual problem that could happen, and I don't want that to ever be the case, so we have the index in here. Given I'm probably panicking about nothing, as somebody who actually knows how the JSON lib works a lot better than me is probably going to go, yeah, that's not a problem. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we have 19 sheet metal items. So copy the first one. So we got 2, so now we need 17 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17? I think I added an extra one, but we'll clip it off after we're done. So the first one is full. It's name. So there's OR name and then there's name. So this is the actual localization name of how it works. Then this is the OR name. And then our index is 1. So there's 1, 2... Yeah, let's go ahead and do all the indexes real quick before I forget. I made a mistake when I was working on the gems last time that I accidentally messed the index up. That's why I think in the video when I show it's like, it's done, it's just not loading properly. That's the reason why, is that I messed up the index and I was just too tired to even bother to go look at it again. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Hey, we nailed it. So it's 18, but that's actually the 19th index because our first index is 0. And now we just come back in here. So this is going to be half. I'm going to hit this probably mic a couple more times. So let me move it just a little bit here. The reason why I'm hitting it is there's a cable sticking out of the bottom of the microphone that actually touches the desk. And it can't be moved because it's like a big plug. I'm actually kind of missing the snowball in that regard. I might find a way to fix that. I do plan to probably buy a different mic stand for this. The mic stands are really cheap, they're like $10. Yeah, that'd probably be a good solution. I could redo the localizations for these two, and I'm thinking about it. The OR names are stuck in the way they're stuck in. There's no changing those. So it's quarter. I actually am going to probably go check the localization names to see if that's actually what they're called. Because these might be texture names. So it's name. No, that's actually what they're used for. They're used for localizations. They're also used for the icon name too. Yeah, that probably wasn't thought through very well when I first did this. But when I was implementing these, I think the thought was get them done so that way we have something to build missiles out of. Because I didn't want to build missiles out of just iron ingots. I didn't want to build them out of just plates. I wanted to give something that's a little cheaper. Not that these actually are cheaper. They ended up being about the same price as the old plates. But the ideal would be, once you get automation, these actually become much, much cheaper. Because the idea would be, if you're building it out of a plate by hand, you're hammering that plate around, and even though you're ending up with something that looks like a sheet, that sheet is actually probably more dense than it actually is meant to be. I actually want to see if I can maybe trick the code into understanding that there's a density difference. But if I do that, I probably end up with more items. That's how it actually would end up coming out to be. More items and more recipes, something that we need neither of. I actually want to hit up less items than I really am planning. So this be cone.micro. Yeah, I don't know why I have underscores. I guess that was probably when I was implementing these. I was using an I underscore system, and then I went to a dot system because of JSON. It looks nicer too. Unfortunately, we have to do legacy support. The OR dictionary names are good though, because that's roughly what the OR dictionary names look like. Plus, I think OR dictionary names are a recent addition to this array. Anyways, it's going to be curved.1. Cool thing is we can add more curved sheets to this later. I don't know what we're going to do if we add more. I don't really have a planned out recipe in mind. But the ideal is we could do that. Especially with how easy JSON is to manipulate, you actually can just come in here and copy and paste to your heart's content. So you just go copy, add new entry data. It's not too bad actually. No code required, no need to recompile the mod, just edit the data. Eventually when the override system is even finished, those people who make mod packs can add their own entries too. I'm trying to think of like when I want to implement that system though. That'll probably be implemented here in a month or so. Because I'm going to need that system relatively soon. Because that's how you're going to actually end up editing a lot of the configs and settings in the future. Is that if you want to change a setting, you can either use the, because I'll still end up using configs. Configs are still an amazing way to synchronize information. But the thought I have in my head is that we could use a hidden setting system is what it's pretty much going to be, that will contain a way to configure and change every single thing in the mod. So if you want to change the cost, well actually ignoring recipes, so if you want to change the amount of power a machine uses, the max power a machine has, how quickly it processes something, the number of slots it has, stuff like that, you can change it with the external system is the plan. And that's going to provide a really huge amount of power to modpack developers because they can literally control the entire mod. Add on top of this the JSON system. You can add anything you want. So if you want to have your own recipe components, you can do it. Unfortunately, though, this is probably going to put me out of a job, but oh well, I can live with that. I might actually just call these rivets in the future. I might actually add more than one OR dictionary name too. I've been doing an array-based system because I kind of want an OR dictionary to rivet and rivet sheet metal because they are probably equatable. I have to go see if any mod has rivets in it and make sure I look at their cost and see if that's a viable option. Best thing not to step on another mod developer's toes and be like, hey, I'm going to ignore the cost of all of your stuff and I'm going to provide a cheaper version that completely wrecks your balance. I've actually seen mod developers do that. I've seen them do it intentionally too. But that's like two little kids fighting over something. Put this in here. And you know what? Make this a little nicer. I feel like there's something been missing. I forgot to turn the music on. Bit late, we're 20 minutes in, but hey, we have some. Maybe I'll edit this in later and put some more music in. So there we go. They're all edited now. So we have all our entries. And the only thing we need to go do is check. Well, one, we need to fix our actual registry name. We do need to set the creative tab. I'll have to check how to do that real quick. Let's see where this is created. Oh, we're gonna have to convert the recipes. Sorta. Might have to add something for the recipes. Because the recipes depend on some tools here. I think, yeah, right here, some tools. And I think the system understands how to handle that, but just in case. Anyways, I need to figure out where this is created at. I've probably like skimmed over it twice now. Here it is. So you no longer exist. But we got your name at least. So that's the name it needs to register with in order for it to load without anybody noticing that there was a changeover. So we got that taken care of. Actually, I need to also go here. And this is used everywhere. So that means we can't get rid of it. Where we, there's actually a spot I think I was referencing a lot of the materials in. I think it's an ICBM actually, is where I was doing this at. Because ICBM is one of those mods that's actually almost completely converted now to a JSON system. There's configs. Yeah, right there it is, I think. If I can I change window size, please? Thank you. It might be done in the init method. Here's register explosives. Here we go. I think, no, it's still not it. There's a init API. What are you called by? Init API. Okay, so it looks like it is running all this stuff pretty much in the init method. That may not be the best place to handle this, because roughly around init is when all the recipes are run. I need to create another method for this, actually. Because I need to make sure that we are grabbing references to the items after pre-init, but before init. So this would be public void reference data, that's what I'm probably going to call this. And this is going to be engine.item sheet metal. And this is really just going to be a temporary thing, because what I need to really do is I just need to make sure we're keeping track of the sheet metal items so that anything referencing it that still exists still understands what it is. And actually, let's do this. Inventory utility dot get item. And we don't have to cast it. And we want to call this from, I think, claim content. Super dot. Oh, there's not a handler for it. I might need to make an event for this. Yeah, let's go ahead and make an event. That'll be an easy solution. Plus, I think making an event has already been on the to-do list for quite a while. So let's go find the JSON framework. And see if there's an event in here. If there's an event package. So there's a content loader event. Register event. Called when a new process has been registered. So that one event looks like it's in place already. So let's go new JSON content. JSON. Entry creation event. Yeah, let's see what the JSON content event loader gives us. JSON content. Just make sure it's extending a common event ground. I'll figure out something we can use the common event ground for later. Oh, wait, hold on. That's the wrong package. It's this one I wanted to put this in. Okay, so we want to know a few different things. String. We want to know the mod it was created by. We want to know the ID. We want the object itself. And we make sure it's all final so you can't change any of it, because I know some mod developer will be like, oh, what if I change this data? And like, you'll crash everything is what you'll do. String mod string ID I JSON gen content object. There we go. So that will give us an event to fire. Won't be able to do anything with this event other than just be notified when something is done. I'm trying to think if I ever want to let somebody disable it, but I can't think of a reason to. The only thing I could think of is like being able to register more stuff, which is what I kind of want to do with this guy, is being able to do public JSON content loader. Yeah, so I'll be able to put the content loader in there. So content loader, there we go. And then we also want to make sure we call the phase public JSON loader phase. And we'll just initialize those from the whatever we're using it for. I might need to make those final. Yeah, this will be a little more tedious, but that's not what I wanted to do at all. It's not really important to know which loader is loading things, because right now there's only ever going to be one loader. The only reason that I'm going to do it is in the future I may make more than one loader in order to improve handling. So you may have you'll have a core registry of all the objects that will be created. And then you'll have like maybe 2 or 3 loaders running in parallel with each other, processing files. That way you're reading the files as quickly as possible from the disk, which doesn't seem like it would work really well, considering... I don't know. I have to figure that one out. There's definitely a reason to do it. And the reason I say there's definitely a reason to do it is that there are a few cases where it would be useful. The main thing I'm thinking of is maybe we want to have a thread that's just designed to read stuff from the disk. The disk you can wait a while for the disk to run. This is one of the big things that actually hinders Minecraft is the disk. So if your hard drive runs slow, your Minecraft's going to run slow. And it's particularly on things like loading the map from the save and loading the jar files from the save. Even though I say this, that an SSD does not actually make your Minecraft run faster, if you have a bad hard drive, it does make it run slower. Because once you get Minecraft up to a certain speed when it comes to read and write off the hard drive, then the CPU is your bottleneck. Okay, so we get our event. Now we just kind of want to... we don't actually have a phase. Protected, JSON, loader phase, current phase. Go ahead and pass it in. You really shouldn't be adding JSON processors outside of the pre-init phase, just as a heads up. If you are, you're doing things badly. And these guys need to actually be... The cool thing is what I can do down here is go current phase equals phase. And I just need to make sure I initialize the current phase as handlers. Because by default, it starts in the handler phase. I might have to rethink phases later. So for those of you like developing software for Volt Ascension, don't depend on the phases too much. Like, read them at face value, don't think about them too much. So if you get a block phase being called, you're in block mode, you're in item mode, and so on. Right now these aren't actually triggered properly because I haven't put a lot of proper handling in here. But we'll work on that. So there's a bit of trick with loading resources. Hold on. Actually, you know what? I may be overthinking this. I think loading resources is not done the way I think it does. Yes, it's process entries have actually mixed stuff. Process. I need to get rid of you so you're not on my screen so I can see what I'm doing. Not that my microphone is not blocking half my monitor. Okay, so entry.author does not equal to author does not empty, set author, add gens to the list. Call register. I think right down here is when we want to do it. Is because this will be data. So right here we add the generated objects to a list, or add the generated objects. This would be rename code occurrences generated. Yeah, we'll call it gen object, or it's gonna not do that. You think I hit enter while selecting a line, it's going to actually do that. Rename code occurrences. Yeah, this is what I wanted, is gen object. That way it's a little bit clearer what it is. So set the author, add it to list, we validate it so we make sure that it actually works, because if you invalidate, you can actually crash the game to say, hey, there's something seriously wrong with your object, or you can print out a warning saying, hey, the settings are bad. Your choice. Then we register it, then we pop off iRegistering it and everything else. So by then, the object should be registered, so now we want to fire off whatever we're doing. So this will be, we just need to make an event, so this would be JSON entry creation event equals new JSON creation event. This current phase, yeah, current phase is literally not going to be useful whatsoever by doing this. Because effectively what I need to do is detect for what processor is running, and based off the processor, I need to tick into the current phase. But then I need to make sure that I wait until after we've processed all of the items to then trigger the item initialization phase. It's complicated. Anyways, genObject.getMod, genObject.getContentID, and then genObject. Then we want to do Minecraft Forge event bus dot post and then entry creation. This will fire an event off and we'll be good to go. The key thing to note is that some of this data can be null, which we'll go ahead and note. Might be null. There we go. That shouldn't be null ever. Yeah, because there's a null check there. I may start spitting out warnings if the mod ID is null, because even though you don't need the mod ID for a lot of registry content, I think I'm going to start enforcing it, or I'm going to create a system that in the file you set the global ID. Anyway, so this will be our event. So JSON entry creation event at subscribe event. No, is that subscribe event? I think so. Anyways, if entry creation event dot ID equals ignore case, and actually what we're going to do is we're going to flip this. And the reason we're going to flip this is this really cool method you can use when programming is that if you don't know if something's going to be null or not, you can, instead of checking for or checking the object against what you want, you can check your value against the object. So if v equals that, there we go, we initialize our sheet metal object. And this way, this will be initialized as soon as the object is loaded. So then that way, anything can use it. And then probably what I'll do is create some kind of load order system here later, so you can say, okay, this item needs to load before this item and that item, or I'll make another event that fires after all items are loaded. So you can initialize your data, which is what the trigger event system was. So if we can go back, I guess I closed it already, but pop open here. So there's a trigger event system here somewhere, right here. So this will trigger, and this will go through all objects and say, okay, event's been triggered. So after items have been loaded, so if you trigger item load phase, that means all the items have now been loaded. You can now come in here and go, hey, I want to assign my item entries and everything. The plan is to use that for recipes primarily, and register recipes as early as possible. Right now we're registering recipes as late as possible. Close that. So we need a few things actually. Actually, we don't need anything from this. This guy's dead, so we're going to go ahead and kill him. Get rid of all of his guts. And then the only thing I really need to do, one is fix the errors, and then set up the rendering, and then do the creative tab. So that's where the sheet metal is. Oh wait, I already commented out, and I think I recommented it just to figure out where it was being used at. So that's gone. Build project. So it looks like there's no other errors. I'm going to leave the enum open because I actually need the enum. Because we actually still use this for recipes, but I'm going to go ahead and deprecate it just like I did the class file. And then let's go ahead and check what this is still used for. I don't see the usage. Now we just need to do the creative tab, which I need to come into here to do. Is creative tab even a thing? Nope, creative tab is not a thing. And Voltage doesn't have its own creative tab. How to handle this? How does the block handle this? This is a good question. Because the block does have creative tab switching. Actually, this should have creative tab switching too. Because I'm pretty sure I have items that have creative tabs. Oh no, it's the armory stuff that has creative tabs on it. Which makes no sense why one thing would have creative tabs and the other thing wouldn't. There's listeners, there's items registry. I have a feeling it might be a listener that actually is here. This is why notes are important. I don't have notes on this, I don't know if this exists. Yeah, this one has its own array of creative tabs. And that creative tab list is set... Item machine covers. Wow. It's not actually what I wanted to look up. Okay, here we go. So it gets the creative tabs, and it figures this out for all the sub-objects. And then it filters it by item. So that means that what we want to do is the... So we want to implement whatever this is, and whatever this mess is. And we got to implement this on item base. And I don't think there's even a creative tab entry in here anywhere. It's render code, more render code, wrappers, tons of wrappers, JSON data, packet data, toString. Okay, so we want to make another section for this. There's nothing close to it. I'm going to put it a little higher up. Creative tab. Just note, get sub items is actually part of the creative tab system. It is not its own unique little thing. Let me grab this. This has some kind of unique usage to it. And here's our get sub item system. Okay, so tab doesn't equal null. Tab equals get name, tab label. Then we get a map of all of our entries, so we're gonna have to figure out if we have entries. What I'm going to do is rename this to collect subtypes. Change it to this. Go to the override. Hell, we'll even get rid of the that thing because I don't really care if it. You can probably just use this method whenever. No, that won't work. We're going to have to actually make a system for this. I'm going to leave this method alone, though, because how it works. But what I need to do is I need to pretty much sort out kind of how this functions. For A, we need to figure out if we've added something. There's a reason why this added system is that if you kind of forget to do your subtypes properly and they don't add to the creative tab, then you want to make sure you add the base item. This fixes problems with items that have subtypes but don't have registered subtypes. It's kind of an oversight more of anything. Actually, the way to do this would be and dot is empty. So if our subtype node system is not empty, then we do this whole thing. Yeah, that actually, I don't need the added thing. We just do that. Because then we do else. We'll have to check this as soon as we're done with it. This is actually a problem, to be honest. Is that we're trying to do too much at once. I mean, the goal was just to work on sheet metals, implement new textures. Now we've implemented this system, that system. Anyways, collect subtypes. And we just want to do creative tab. We'll go ahead and put that on there. Creative tab is actually not a client-side thing, surprisingly. So what we then want to do... Actually, we'll put a string here. So string tab. And then it'll be if tab equals node dot tab to display on. Actually, we don't want to display it on any tab if it's null. No, actually, we'll leave that in there. That's an actual thing. We want to create a variable for tab to display on. Then we want to make this into a JSON injection system. So encapsulate filled. And go ahead and put this somewhere down here. It's probably just popped to the bottom, which is okay. I want to move it though. And we'll put a key on top of this injection field. So this will be creative tab. That's how that'll work. And then we're going to copy this and we're going to go to the subtype, which right here. And we need to put this down here as well. So each subtype is going to have a creative tab option, and then each thing's going to have a creative tab option. Private string. There we go. Kind of confused why these are public and some of the other ones are not, but design oversight. We are going to need to build the creative tabs, and then we need to basically match the creative tabs. I think actually all I need to do is just go if tab.name doesn't equal null, which should never happen. Leave a little note there, because what basically is going to come out of this is going to be something that's not really easy to use. And that should work. Oh wait, we want tab name. And then now we need to come back over here, which by the way, this extends item base, so I can get rid of this as soon as I change that. Given that means the armory mod is not going to be backwards compatible again, which at this point is becoming a norm. Get rid of that. Creative tab to array, get creative tab to lowercase. Contains tab names. Tab names equals entry to creative tab to use. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this alone. I'm actually gonna go control undo it, and what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna rename this guy. Creative tabs to display on. Hope that doesn't rename this one as well. So that way they don't conflict with each other, and then I can update it later. Because it looks like the armory entry does have a unique usage case of how it implements everything. So it collects the creative tabs by filtering through the subtypes. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go, okay, if node dot creative tab or get tab display on does not equal null. Then we want tab names dot add this basically, and then we'll go through all of the yeah, we'll go through all the values here. And actually, I don't know. I was thinking maybe we'll do an empty check on this, but we don't really need to. This one just needs to be all the subtypes. So if get has subtypes, and we just want to copy this if my mouse will behave. I still need to get a new mouse. My last one died. This one is a $5 Logitech wireless mouse that came with a laptop, I think. I really don't know where I got it from. So type dot get tab display on doesn't equal null. We just pretty much put it there. We want to make sure there's no duplicate keys on top of that. So that looks good. And get sub items. I don't think that's, well, actually that one could be used. We just replace this with item subtype. And then we just return exactly what's put into it. Which, where is this even called from? No usage. I think this is actually meant to be used with collect sub items basically. What I'm going to go ahead and do with it is change this out. Actually, I don't need to change that. Get rid of that. Then we want to replace this, drag this down here. We can get rid of the item call because we know what item we're going to be. Leave the tab in there. And then we go right here, and this will be get sub items. And this will be type, tab, and items. And we're going to replace the tab with a string value. And that helps out just a little bit here. Because the idea behind this is if we want to come in here later and we want to go, hey, each of the sub items can now have the ability to customize what displays on the creative tab. Say, for example, you had a battery and you want to put a charged version in it, you can then add some code right down here for like a listener or something, add a charged variant. And that would be what that would be used for. Right now we'll just leave that alone. This should all work. Took way longer than I was expecting. This is going to be a long episode. Video, or whatever you want to call it. And then we want to go find. Actually, I need to go figure out what name the creative tab is going to have. So we want the stuff to continue to show up on the materials tab. So it looks like the name is materials. Make sure that's actually how that works. Yep, tab label, which is what we use, is called materials. So then we come down into our content, which is down here. And then I'm just going to type it tab for the moment. I'm going to go back in and grab the actual label. I don't even know what it's, localized name might even be used. I have a feeling like I might want to fix that. Actually, I need to move viewed up here. Nope. I did not grab the right one. Okay, just call it creative tab. Wait, actually, that's the part I wouldn't change. So let's figure out what that unlocalized name is real quick. So set localization name plus that. Okay. make sure I replace the meta key when we go to set the unlocalized here. This is going to be weird. So this would be our unlocalized name. And then I need to go grab, make sure that the get unlocalized name system works properly, because that's the thing I haven't checked. I'm pretty sure it does. No, it looks like what it does is it tries to put the tag on here, and it just enforces it. So I could fix that. I'm not going to though. So let's get rid of this. Then we come into here and we just need to pop that off because that's already done for us. That means it's going to be sheet metal and it's going to put whatever our name is at the end. Let me go check the language file and make sure that's how we're actually using it. Yes, that's actually how we're using it. Okay, so that's going to be fine. Cool. Localization set up. Now we need to do render, which is going to be tedious. Cool thing is we can literally just copy and paste stuff. Here we go. The renders for the gyms has a really cool for each loop that I'm going to have to get rid of here later, and I'm kind of sad about that. Is that I went ahead and pre-implemented it because I think I was going to have a unique texture per gem just to make it look cool, and then I remembered that's not how I was going to use it. So we need an ID, a render type, and then a texture. So when we get to we're just going to copy and paste this entire thing here, so that way we don't have to type anything else in again. We need to make sure that we actually are using the IDs. So that's the reason why we need that, is that the IDs actually do reference an important piece. Copy that part out, get rid of that, and I just need to go through here and just get rid of everything but the ID. So our render type is going to be item. We need to change that real quick so we make sure we tag the correct item we're rendering. Okay, ID is full. Then our texture is going to be sheet dot full, I think. And we can go check this. Textures, items. I think it just might be called sheet. Yep, it's just called sheet. That's cool. That saves me some time. Go through, change this. I could use regex really quick to actually replace this section, but I don't want to go look up the regex. I don't know it quick enough, and it's just faster to do this because I have to manually edit each of these anyways. Okay, so it looks like it's literally just the ID prefix to most of these, which makes our life pretty easy because we don't have to do a lot of work. Is 8 actually spelled right? I think it is. This is one that's actually, I think it was misspelled at one point in time and the texture was spelled correct, but the name wasn't. And then the texture never loaded because of that. Third, yeah, it looks like these are all pretty consistent. This is why I asked when Morton was redoing these, I asked them to actually do it this way because it matches the ID system that we normally use. I have no clue why the names don't work that way. At some point, something got changed. And I could have done a for loop for this one as well, but manual entry is pretty useful. This would be cylinder dot small. Cylinder dot half. Dot cylinder. think it's just called rivets. That one's the only one that doesn't seem to be name consistent. I'm trying to find it real quick. There's rod, rubble. Is it maybe called sheet rivet? I think it's missing. Let's open up the folder. It's not there. If I didn't find it that quickly, then it's not there. No, actually, what I'm going to do real quick is make sure that that request folder is actually pinned. Or is that did I unpin it? Shoot, I think I unpinned it. How do you repin a folder? Oh well, I'll figure it out later. I could have swore I copied this in, but then again, I've had some difficulties with yesterday when I was having those mic problems. I think I was hitting Control-Z a couple times and removed a few items. So those should show up in here under rivets now. Yep, right there. And that's spelled correctly. And now we just gotta do the fins. So it's to be sheet.fin.micro. Micro, and yep, small, so this will be just be able to copy this and do small. And last one is like cone medium. For this, you'll ask why this is at the bottom here. Is this was added later, like when we added the medium missile, it was added for that. I don't even know if this is a crafting recipe. Which we'll do the recipes in a different episode maybe, or I just do my own because this stuff is probably pretty boring. Okay. That's all converted. Now we just need to cross our fingers and hope that our systems work. Actually, I think I need to adjust that creative tab system one more time. Oh yeah, I didn't even put this down here. So what we want to do is if tab equals null, there was no tab display on equals that. This needs to be tab.equals ignore case. Good thing I checked this. There's some problems here. Here we go. That should do the trick. Because then tab can't be null, because we don't allow it to be null in either of these cases. And good to go. And then what I'll do is I'll go through and update the armory system so that way the armory's creative tab system and this system match each other. Although what I also need to do is I need to go through and turn all the armory entries into item sub-entries and make sure the two systems mesh entirely together. So that way even if you make an item sub-entry for the armory mod, it is an item and you can do all the same stuff you could do with the item subtypes. So that way we don't have to recreate systems back and forth. I'll do that when it becomes needed though, because that is going to be a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff on the to-do list, like I still update 112, which is progressing, I want to say. Not gonna lie, it's gonna take a while. Because I gotta make sure I'm balancing work on it, making sure I finish the 1.7.10 version because it's not finished. People know that it's unstable and it's not exactly, crafting recipes are missing and can't use everything and there's a lot of missing explosions. And last thing I want to do is make more abandonware. This will launch and we can check our work. There's our sheet metal right there. We at least know it's running. I'll have to build up a GUI where we can double click this and look at the item subtypes in the future, as well as edit values if we need to at runtime. I said the point of this GUI is not just to debug things, it is eventually going to be used to manipulate the data. So if we want to fix bugs and actually test theories, we can do it with the system. We won't be able to save with the earlier version, so you won't be able to go, okay, I made changes, now I want to save them. That won't happen right away. But eventually we'll be able to also even do that. So if I go, I need to go fix all these bugs, and then I can then hit the save button and it'll save. The reason why that's not going to be in the earlier version is that the files are loaded from a build directory and not the main source directory. So when IntelliJ compiles, it moves a copy of the file to another directory. So why I recommend if you ever do development, don't do it on an SSD. Even though you'll get improved runtime speed, you actually are going to completely screw your SSD up really quickly. I reload this, we should see more items too. Oh, no, really? Is that all the items we have? Probably more blocks. Yeah, we have more blocks. Okay. There's a difference between a block and an item. Luckily, this system understands that difference. Minecraft does not understand that difference. For every block you have in Minecraft, you have an item. I need to work on the display of this stuff too, because we can see all the IDs and stuff, but we can't see any more information, like what mod it... Well, I mean, you can see the mod, but we can't see... Like, it doesn't have a render ID, is there textures attached to it, doesn't have subtypes, what listeners are running. Oh, we haven't crashed yet. That's a good sign. Okay, so stuff isn't... oh no, wait, here it is. Look at all those pretty items. So here's some of our new textures. We got new copper coils, new motor assemblies, new dust textures, which just got implemented. Actually, I think we got new textures for the yeah, different types, the ingots as well. I don't know if the plates and I think the rods have new textures. The screws definitely have new textures. So yeah, look, that's really nice. The language localizations are working. Recipes are not actually usage. Why isn't the recipe working? So there's something wrong with the recipe. That could be that event I did is not firing properly, but I'll fix that on my own. So at least we know that our setting everything up is good, and it's done. So that's it. And because of the amount of time this did take, there will not be a gym video today, so I'll make it later.